So, we're going to talk today about how we live on one income as a family of six. Now, before anyone says anything, I do make a very small amount from YouTube every few months. I don't even make money every month at this point. And so I do not consider that a substantial income. My husband is the sole provider in our family. So I have always had a calling to be a stay-at-home mama. Ever since I was a little girl, if you would have asked little Katie what I would want to do as an adult, I would have said I would have wanted to be a mother to 8 kids is what I used to say. I wanted to have 8 kiddos, and I wanted to be home with them and teach them and all these things. I think it is a beautiful calling to be the comforter and caretaker and teacher and mama to your babies. And when you can stay home with them, it is just such a beautiful calling, and I think where God calls us as mothers. And so all of these things that I'm going to go into today definitely tie into how we do make things work on one income, but they also tie into the beliefs that I have on simple living and not giving into overconsumption. So both go kind of hand in hand. I think that a huge part in dealing with one income is to be okay with sacrifice and to have a big mindset shift into what is a priority for you. A lot of these things that we think we need aren't things that we need at all. There are so many things that other parts of the world don't have that we might have here, and we still have people that have all of these things in the Western parts of the world that would say that they are poor or living in poverty or that they don't have enough, when other parts of the world don't have these things. I think we've lost sight of what is actually important and what true wealth actually is, according to God and not according to the world. So I would say that we are beyond blessed. So the first thing we do is, I think it's important to see the beauty in sacrifice. I think a lot of the times sacrifice, the word sacrifice can kind of seem like you're giving up something that you want to do something that you don't want. And that's not always the case. And so when I say see the beauty in sacrifice, I mean that maybe you have to give up something to be able to afford living on one income. So maybe something that you were doing in your past life or something that you were spending money on, and now you can't spend that money on that because the funds just aren't there. See the beauty in that. Maybe that thing wasn't even important in your life anymore, and you're not giving that up to do something that you don't want to do. You're giving that up to stay home with your children. You're giving that up to be able to live on one income. Sacrifice is a absolutely beautiful thing that I think once we see the beauty in that, it won't seem so hard. The next thing is we handle gifts very simply, and we don't feel the need to spend a lot of money on birthdays. So we will oftentimes just do 1 or 2 gifts for our kiddos, and we will do some type of fun experience for them, even if that's going to a park that is literally free. I just think that beauty lies in the simple things, and lots of the times the things that cost a lot more money are things that are overstimulating and things that we don't even actually need. So, that doesn't mean that that's what we do every single birthday. It just varies per child, but we don't make birthdays and holidays about stuff. So haircuts are something that I think can add up in a budget for sure, especially when you have a lot of people in your family. And I actually have learned how to cut all my kids' hair. I cut my own hair, and my husband cuts his hair. So we actually don't spend any money on haircuts. I don't dye my hair. I don't go to the hair salon. I don't go get my nails done. Now, to be honest, I don't have any interest in dyeing my hair anymore. I don't have any interest in getting my nails done. So again, this kind of goes hand in hand, like I said, with simple living, but it's actually something that saves money as well. I did that for a period of my life, dyeing my hair all kinds of colors and getting my nails done, and it's just, I have no interest in that anymore. Also I cut our dog's hair, so we do not pay for dog grooming. I don't know if I'm even doing it properly, but I think he looks super cute. He's actually due for a haircut now. But yeah, I've learned how to cut his hair, and that saves tremendous amount of money. I remember when we used to take him to the dog groomers, and I'm not kidding when I say that it was about $80 sometimes when we would leave, and I was just always blown away by how expensive it is to just cut your dog's hair. So I find that a lot of the budgeting that goes into families is for food. And a lot of that is from processed foods and things that are prepackaged. That definitely adds up after a while. And so learning how to cook, learning how to bake saves a lot of money. And I'm talking like, instead of buying all the pre-made granola bars, learn how to make your own like little oatmeal energy bars or little energy balls, or learn how to make your own hummus or your own guacamole or your own salsa, your own waffles, make your cookies. Everything that you are buying, just try to figure out, what can I learn how to make on my own? Now, this is a lot coming from me because it doesn't come naturally to me to cook and bake. And so I have had to learn how to do a lot of these things, and I'm still learning, and I'm still failing in a lot of areas, but I'm still trying. And I find that this really, really helps cut down on expenses when you can just cook from scratch when possible. I also think that an area in our finances where someone would say that maybe I like to spend a little more money is the quality of our food and things along those lines. When you can make things from scratch, you have more control to spend your money in the area of quality. So instead of buying the prepackaged bars that maybe have a lot of sugar in them or something like that, or the prepackaged hummus that has a lot of oil in it, if you can learn how to make it yourself, you can buy those ingredients. And when you're making your hummus, you can just do tahini with the garbanzo beans and some seasonings and just leave the excess oil out. I think that's a really important part. If you're learning how to cook food, it can save money, but then also you're more in control of what's actually going into the food. So when it comes to decorating our home, I don't thrift everything. I used to a lot, and I don't do that as much anymore. I have done it for a few things. We have a few pieces of furniture in our home that are from my childhood home, actually, and I love them. They're really cool vintage pieces. And this saves money. Instead of going out and buying a new piece of furniture, if my mom had one that she was getting rid of, it worked great for us. And so, again, maybe just having in that mindset that we don't have to buy everything brand new all the time is a cool mindset to have, and definitely saves money. So the next thing that we do is we don't eat out all the time. We will occasionally get something, maybe for a birthday party or something, but even then, a lot of times we still eat in. I find that, I said this in a video last week, that my husband and I, whenever we eat out, we always look at each other and we just say, man, that price that we just spent for our whole family to eat out, it wasn't even worth it. Like, I feel like I could make that so much better at home. It just happens every time. And even something like eating at Chipotle, like, you can make a Chipotle bowl yourself at home, and it is a fraction of the price. So I know people like the experience of eating out and stuff, but it's not something that has to be done all the time. It doesn't have to be done daily. It doesn't have to be done weekly. It doesn't even have to be done monthly. Even like my husband and my date nights are really, really, really simple. We don't spend a lot of money on dates. We don't feel the need to have some extravagant date to spend time with each other. Again, coming back to what is a priority. If we're talking about date night, a priority is just to reconnect with my husband. It doesn't have to be over a $200 dinner. That's just absurd to me to think that we need these things to be happy and to enjoy each other. It's just not the case. So another way that we live on one income is we drive old cars. We do not have fancy new cars. And I'm okay with it. If you were to give me $1 million right now, I would not go buy a new car. And then the next thing when it comes to cars is my husband will do a lot of the car maintenance. Now, if it's like really intense maintenance that has to be done, then of course we take that in. But when it comes to like oil changes and fluid changes and things like that, my husband does all of those. A synthetic oil change that you would get done at a mechanic, the last time my husband had looked into this, it was like $100. And he does our oil changes for about $30. So that just gives you an idea of how much you can save if you know how to do oil changes and stuff like that. I'm blessed to have my husband who does know how to do these things and takes the time to care for our cars. But yeah, that saves a lot of money. We are okay living in a smaller home. Now, this ties into living simply and not needing a lot of stuff, that I'm okay living in a smaller house. There are times where I wish that maybe our living area was a little bit bigger, or maybe I had a larger outdoor space. But when it comes down to it, we don't need a bigger home. A lot of times we feel like we need a bigger home when we really just need less stuff and we have a lot of clutter. I have been okay living in a smaller home with our family. And of course, that goes into saving money. If I were to feel like I need a bigger house and I need to move, then that would raise the price that we spend on our home. So being okay living in a smaller home and being grateful for the home that God has blessed us with definitely is a key part in living on one income. I think a really important part to remember also is, my husband may be the sole provider in our home, but I also think it's so important to remember that God is our number one provider, and that even though we might feel like we aren't being provided the way we want to be provided, maybe we can't buy a certain thing or whatever it may be, God is always providing for us and He's always looking after us. I think it's such an important part in being okay living on one income is to remember who our true provider is and how He looks out for us and will provide absolutely everything that we need. I think that is such an important and beautiful part with being okay with sacrifice and being okay with living on one income. We do not have a lot of excess subscriptions, so we don't have a lot of TV subscriptions or anything along those lines. I know that, there's so many things that we can subscribe to on our smart TVs and on our phones. We don't have any of those. I do think that can add up after a while. $5 here, $5 here, $7 here. Before you know it, you might have $50 of subscriptions every month that maybe you don't actually need. So this saves a lot of money. So when it comes to clothing, I have a couple things that we do for clothes to save money in our home. The first one is hand-me-down clothes. So I am someone who does store my children's clothing. I know a lot of more minimalist people will not store clothes for their kids, but what I do is I store one big Sterlite box for my kids' hand-me-down clothes, because each time a kiddo grows, I can go into that box and pull out clothes and they can use it. And then when a child outgrows that, I can put it back in the box and give it to the next child. And it's also really cool for my older kids to see their younger siblings wearing their old clothing. That's always kind of fun. Then the next thing that we do for clothes is we are very intentional about the type of clothing we buy. So we will thrift some, but even if we don't thrift, we make sure that the quality is good. And so quality over quantity. And so for a while, I would buy like maybe the cheaper dresses, but I found that within a few months, the seams were coming apart or they would get holes in them. And I'm like, man, I spent money on that dress and now it's literally down the drain. So I find that even just saving some money and being able to spend a little more on a piece of clothing that is better quality ends up saving money in the long run. So in our minds, we definitely prefer to have quality over quantity. So the last one I want to go into is embracing a simple life and not complaining about it. If I were to make more money or my husband were to make more money, we would not live very much differently. I think a simple life is just beautiful. I truly believe it's how we are called to live. It's how God calls us to live. And it's how we are supposed to it's where we're supposed to keep our priorities. Being a stay-at-home mom is one of the greatest callings that God can call us to take care of our children, to take care of His children. And anything that we can do, even if it's a sacrifice, to be able to stay home with our babies, I see as such a blessing. So I hope my video blesses you and encourages you, and I'll see you in my next one. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more videos like this, feel free to subscribe so you can see every time I post a new video. Thank you guys for being here, and I'll see you in my next one. God bless.